It's been a 110-year journey for women in New Jersey's accounting profession. This is the IssuesWatch podcast. Hello, and welcome to the IssuesWatch podcast. I'm Don Meyer, Chief Marketing Officer at the New Jersey Society of CPAs. April 9th, 2022 marks the 110th anniversary of the NJCPA's first female member. Dora Roworth obtained her New Jersey CPA license, originally referred to as a CPA certificate, on December 11th, 1909, and she joined the NJCPA on April 9th, 1912. She was the 57th person to receive a CPA certificate in New Jersey and the 64th member of the NJCPA. Dora worked for Frank Dubois, the first CPA in New Jersey, and later owned her own business. She was an active member of the NJCPA, holding positions as auditor and treasurer. To help us commemorate Dora's groundbreaking accomplishments, I recently sat down with 5 female NJCPA members to discuss their career paths and the messages they have for the next generation of female CPAs. In this episode, you'll hear from Evelyn McDowell, an associate professor at Rider University, Kathy Powers, CFO at Matheny Medical and Educational Center, and the president-elect of the NJCPA, Sofia Cordero, a senior manager at Mazars, Twinkle Tailor, the director of financial planning and analysis at Prudential, and Doris Vazacopoulos, an accounting student at Stevens Institute of Technology. I always find it interesting to learn what draws a person to a particular profession. Here's what Kathy, Sofia, Doris, and Evelyn had to say about why they chose to pursue an accounting career and become a CPA.
I always wanted to be a CPA, so I don't know really what was necessarily the triggering thing. I mean, I took courses in college and it always came naturally to me. So for me, it was just sort of my path was to become a CPA.
So when I graduated with an accounting degree, from the beginning, I knew I wanted to become a CPA. Although I was working at a full-time at an accounting firm right out of college, getting my CPA was my main priority. I knew that opportunities that could come from having the CPA will be endless, and not doing and not pursuing the license will limit me on certain opportunities that I could have along my career. So I think that's what drove me the most. Being able to get those 3 letters next to my name is that very rewarding feeling and accomplishment that has helped me to continue to advance in my career now. Also, the respect that comes with having the CPA, the recognition that comes with being a CPA, that's something also important. I think it's a differentiator of having the CPA will set me apart from others and also sets me up to higher standards. I've always learned that CPAs are considered to be the most trusted advisors, and I think that's something to be proud of, and for clients to trust us, to rely on us, I think that's huge.
That started right in high school. My high school, I went to Northern Valley Regional Ultapan in Bergen County, and they had a really strong business kind of segment for students starting sophomore year, or maybe as early as freshman year. So I took just a basic accounting course. And I guess that's where my interest kind of started. My teacher used to work for a Big Four, I believe it was Deloitte. So he had a few years of experience in the accounting industry. So his insight was always really helpful, and always pushed his students when they started applying to college or looking at colleges that accounting was a really strong career. And I guess that's just where I found interest in the subject and figured that it could make a great career.
Early on, one of the reasons why I liked accounting is because I wanted to help people. And if you want to help people in the best way, you have to be a CPA. There's just, if you want to do accounting and you want to help people. And I've always liked the idea of having my own practice and being in practice. I knew that it was extremely important for me to be a CPA so that I can provide top level service. I have the knowledge, I have the credibility that when people see that, that those 3 wonderful little letters at the end of my name, it comes with some prestige. It comes with instant credibility. And it also comes with, of course, the ability to practice in the fullest extent. And so I had to have it. I mean, like it's necessary.
Having female mentors or role models has had a strong influence on Doris, Twinkle, Kathy, and Sofia.
That started when I came to Stevens. A few people there were Professor Ann Murphy. She's a CPA, and she worked in the industry for a really long time. And she pushed me when I did some research with her the summer after my freshman year. I talked to her a lot about accounting and what kind of career I can make there. So definitely her, and then as well as Professor Elaine Henry. She was my professor for intermediate 1 and 2 at Stevens. So she is a CFA, but she has a lot of experience in accounting. So she definitely gave me a lot of insight in that career, and like just helping me with internships and interviews and all of that. So she's been really great as well.
And luckily I had not one, but 2 female mentors who made it really easy for me to decide to become a CPA. One was my high school teacher, and she invited a female CPA in our accounting class as a guest speaker. And that was the very first time I learned about the CPA license and what it meant as a career. And second was my first accounting course professor at Essex County College, who has always been very kind to me during my undergrad years and continue to push me to go become a CPA once I started working. I think they certainly influenced my choice very early on to stay on the path to become a CPA. And as I sort of reflected on my own journey so far, early on in my career, I worked in a department that was filled with women CPAs in leadership roles. And it was very valuable to have that exposure early on and have those right conversations on paving my path forward in my career. So it's nothing but rewarding in my own experience.
My earliest role model was and is still my mother. My mom, Anna Fitzpatrick, worked in finance in the banking industry for most of her career, especially at a time when it wasn't easy for women working in the financial sector.
So I think over my career, I've had many mentors, both female and male. And I think that's the beauty of the profession, is that you're able to learn from many people along the way as you're moving up throughout your career. So I think what I learned the most about just working with those mentors is that they've always pushed me to challenge myself, to go out of my comfort zone, to sometimes be put in uncomfortable situations. I think that's where I've learned the most. And it has pushed me to kind of think on my feet, to be confident, to trust myself. And also it has taught me to practice that with my own teams and to be able to understand what motivates them, take interest in their success and their growth the same way that my mentors did with me.
But Evelyn proves you can persevere and succeed even without an early role model.
I grew up in the inner city of Cleveland, Ohio. Even though my family has been here for generations, I can go back at least 4 or 5 generations in the United States. My family has come from a legacy of slavery. And my father was the first one in my direct line that could read. So no, we did not have anyone. I did not have another CPA in my family. I didn't have anyone to look at to say, that's what I want to do. I fell in love with accounting when I took a high school class, and I said, oh, this is me. I mean, this is something I have to do. I fell in love with it. And so I pursued my dreams, and unfortunately did not see another female, Black, a person who identifies as Black accountant until much later in my profession, after I have already became a CPA. Actually, not quite. A little bit before that, when I joined NABA, the student chapter, and then I saw some CPAs at that point. So I was, but it was great to see them. It was great. It really meant a lot to see someone else that looked like me in the profession, but I was going to get it no matter what.
I wanted to find out what it means to these members to be women in the accounting profession and the important role that women can play.
Right now, I think it's an exciting time for women to be in the accounting profession. For a lot of reasons, I think there's many career paths that that are available to women. But also, I think one of the good things that came out of the pandemic is almost this normalization of flexibility. And I think that that is something that women have fought for a long time, and now it's to see it normalized is a really good thing. And I think supporting women in the workforce has always been something that I've been passionate about, because it creates not only a loyal but a dedicated workforce. And I think that they serve organizations well.
As a woman, it means a lot in terms of my abilities to connect to other people. I had my own practice for a number of years, and I'm sure, my practice was in the inner city of Cleveland, Ohio. And I had a lot of clients. Most of my clients were women. And it really did a lot for them to be able to come into my office and talk to a trusted professional who happened to be a woman, just like them. And so it means a lot that I can connect with people who probably would not have otherwise had a connection to this profession, except that they're talking to someone who's female.
The accounting profession has evolved tremendously over the years, and the profession has been promoting ways to promote women, to help fill the gap and have more women leaders in our profession. So I feel very lucky to be building my career in accounting and to continue to be exposed to those opportunities to grow in my career. I see more firms focusing on diversity and inclusion initiatives, which I think it's great. It encourages other women to collaborate and support one another. It also provides resources. And for me as a woman, that makes me feel supported and encouraged to continue to build my career in the accounting profession.
I was curious to hear what these women think the NJCPA and accounting leaders should do to foster greater equality within the accounting profession.
Mentorship is not enough. Sponsorship has to come from every level. And what I mean by sponsorship is really bringing someone along the way, not just meeting with them and encouraging them, but bringing them along the way, because there's not enough sponsorship out there. And it's hard because perceptions become reality. I've experienced that significantly in my own life. If people perceive something of you, all of a sudden it becomes reality, and it becomes very important to have somebody to sponsor you along the way.
I think sometimes women initiatives or content comes up more often during March because it's Women's International Day. However, I think to be able to foster greater equality in the accounting profession, we should be talking about gender equality throughout the year, and perhaps having interest group or a subcommittee that the mission and the goal would be to promote gender equality, and for members to participate, to bring more people together, to share ideas, experiences, to continue to work towards breaking that bias in the profession. Being part of the Emerging Leaders Council, I think having an initiative around young women professionals, perhaps like organizing educational workshops or mentorship programs, that could increase the visibility for those young women professionals, and it would also help foster the equality in the profession.
Starting at a younger age, I know everyone's pushing like younger and younger, but I think giving exposure to young women just to like business in general is really important, and specifically accounting. So just like pushing that in high school, and giving opportunities to women that they can move towards in college in accounting, but like the overall financial industry. So I think like starting at that age is really important.
I truly believe from my own personal experience that we need to reach and raise awareness of the profession early on for the students, and reaching a greater set of students who come from different backgrounds is the key to sort of make sure they can see the accounting profession and really embrace it in the future. Having the conversations early on can really open the door for a lot more conversation in the future as they get closer to making their decisions. fostering the equality requires definitely work from us as the society as well, to offer resources, whether it's, those conversations, mentorship, just having one-on-one conversations. And I also think we should emphasize the partnerships with schools and universities as well, to sort of continue to raise those awareness and foster greater equality of the profession from the society's perspective as well.
We'll wrap things up with each of my guest messages for young women considering an accounting career.
I would say it's a fulfilling profession. It certainly requires hard work, but the accomplishment feeling is far above that. I would emphasize focus on your accounting learning, but one skill set that I've really identified in my own career early on is start working towards communication skills and especially writing skills. Learning to write cater to appropriate audience early on, depending on whether it's your peers or management or external clients. Once you sort of get in the workforce, it is very imperative to write clearly. So in my mind, clear communication skills are equally important to succeed in the accounting profession. So the sooner you start, the better off you will be.
The accounting profession doesn't stay still. It always continues to evolve and has endless opportunities and potential to grow in their career. So I think that's a very exciting thing for someone entering the profession. There are many paths that they could take within the accounting profession, and that's also very different that I think other careers don't have. So have the opportunity to have those options. Accounting is part of every business, and it's a career where you never stop learning and developing yourself. I think it's also more than the technical skills. It's building your people and entrepreneurial skills and becoming that trusted advisor. I think it's a rewarding feeling to know that what you do can impact clients, make important decisions.
Never stop chasing your goals. Like, no goal is too big, and don't let anyone, whether that be another man or another woman, like tell you that you can't achieve something or that you can't do something.
I have two messages that I would share. Number one is lift each other up. It's very important for women to lift each other up. Life is really hard and we need to support each other. And then the second thing is, don't put obstacles in your way. As women, we tend to overanalyze, evaluate opportunities from every different angle. What I'd say is just rip the Band-Aid off, even if you have to figure it out along the way.
The best thing to do is to know what you want to do with your life and see how the CPA can help you. And once you know or made that connection, there's no stopping you.
Thank you again to Evelyn McDowell, Kathy Powers, Sofia Cordero, Twinkle Tailor, and Doris Vazacopoulos for sharing their stories and advice as we reflect back on the path that Dora Roworth forged and the road ahead for female CPAs. Thank you all for listening and watching.